It's Elisa. I'm the Half Asian Tarot Queen, and I'm doing a reading for the full moon lunar eclipse that's happening. Some big energies coming through. This is the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, which is one of my favorite decks. Super wise. So I'm going to pull this out just to get some overall energies for the reading. It seems like there's a lot of fireworks that are happening right now. It's pretty wild and woolly out there. So we'll see what comes through. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for coming. The videos on this channel are organized in a slightly less than standard way, in the sense that they are not arranged according to zodiac sign or according to date, but they're more arranged according to storyline. So there's a number of threads or stories that kind of keep coming up, and they kind of recur and intersect, and it's almost like a daytime soap opera, how it sort of unfolds. And I feel like I've gotten a lot of wisdom from just observing, and so I'm just kind of letting it be what it is. But it's just a little bit different way of organizing the channel. So there's a video on the main page explaining what that is, and you can check that out if you're interested. But yeah, I've got a couple cards here. So we have the moon and the tree of life. So hold on a second. Okay, sorry, there's always a lot of hustle and bustle. This has been happening lately because I'm at home, and yeah, my mom is she likes to interrupt. Okay, so I pulled two cards. It's the tree of life and, ironically, the moon, because, you know, this is, they're calling it the wolf moon. It's a penumbral eclipse. It's happening in Cancer, which is a water sign, so a super emotional sign. But it's really interesting how these cards kind of play on each other. So the tree of life, in a way, this is sort of like a metaphor for, you know, like our own sort of chakra system, where it's, and sort of being in alignment with your internal energy, you know, whereas the branches represent sort of like the upper chakras, and being reaching, you know, for the sky, you know, and what the possibilities are there. And then the roots go down into the earth, you know, into the ground, and our grounding. And so it's like a kind of reminder to find your own, you know, internal balance with this, and to be attuned to that and acknowledge that, you know, because it's like if you're too grounded and you're not you know, like reaching for the stars, you can kind of be in a rut, you know, and you can your life can sort of lack meaning, you know. But whereas like when you're totally up in this, your head's in the clouds, and you're completely tuned into that aspect, the spiritual element of yourself, you can be ungrounded and kind of spacey and not practical, you know. And so it's inviting you to explore that, and to find a balance with that, and to also just be tuned into your own balance with that, and where you might explore coming more into balance. Like for me, for sure, for a while, I've really been working on staying grounded, you know, because I've gone through this period of really just like pulling down this impossible dream from the sky, and you know, this is like made me very top chakra heavy, you know, and so I've had to really work on that, and I'm still working on it, you know. But then an interesting complement is the moon card, which is kind of a similar exploration, but like in another direction, you know, because this kind of signifies the cycles of life, like there's a natural rhythm, you know, and so this is the, you know, metaphor for this is the cycles of the moon, which is interesting because this is the wolf moon, lunar eclipse, and you know, there is a natural rhythm and a natural order of things, and so it's almost like coming into balance with that, like acknowledging this rhythm, you know, and acknowledging that you're part of this life cycle, and sort of like, you know, being able to sort of like swim with the current and not fight against it, you know, and just like when you're in that natural rhythm and you're in alignment with all that is, like things just flow to you with this grace and ease, and having reverence for that natural cycle, you know, and then also just by being in connection with your own internal energies, it allows this sort of like synchronicity, you know, between your inner and outer worlds, you know, because it's just sort of like when this world and this world are in alignment, you know, that's when all abundance and happiness and gratitude and love and all these good things will just, you know, naturally flow to you, and you'll be living in this state of ease. But then when you're out of alignment, that's when you encounter, you know, challenges and difficulties. So it's almost like the lesson of this moment, because I think there's a lot of change that's happening right now, that's cycling through, and a lot of it is like people coming into alignment with their truth and having to like make adjustments to sort of like be able to like recalibrate, you know, and so this is a really beautiful sort of analogy where it's just sort of like, you know, having this awareness of your own internal rhythm, but then also having an awareness of the external rhythm around you so that you can be in sync with that, you know, which is beautiful. And then when you have come into this alignment, like when you're in complete alignment with the universe, then you're just like this unstoppable force, you know, and this is a beautiful thing. I think when people have come into that alignment, you know, those are times of just like total bliss and joy and happiness. And so I think this is a really beautiful message, but I think like an underlying force that's sort of motivating all the shifts that are in play right now. So that's really inspiring. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the with my tried and true Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. When I pulled it out of the box, we had the Knight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So this is an energy that's really been coming through a lot, even this in this week's readings, but like also in just the last month for sure. But this is just like slow and steady wins the race. This is the slowest moving knight in the deck, but you know, is what comes out of this energy is built to last. Like this isn't like a fly by night thing. This is like solid, you know. So you know, just like this isn't just like a dream, you know, like this is when you're in alignment, like that's a rock solid positioning, you know. So built to last. So I'm gonna pull some more cards from this deck and see if we can get some more energies about what this is, what this moment is showing us, because yeah, this week for me has been super impactful, and there's been a lot of just stuff coming out of nowhere. But ultimately, you know, just trying to focus on the positive and be in alignment with the positive change, because some really powerful energies with this. The wolf actual energy is like meaningful for me just because I have autoimmune disease, which I haven't bothered to like go through the whole all the whole testing because it was like so expensive, but it's lupus, you know. I mean, that's what it is. I just haven't fully been diagnosed with it, but you know, and basically that means wolf. So that's something that like I kind of identify with. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, so the energies that are coming through are just like, whoa. It's like powerful stuff. So on the bottom of this deck we have the 10 of Cups. So this is total happiness, abundance, fulfillment. You know, you've got your family, you've got your abundance, like you've got this really beautiful foundation for happiness, which is interesting because that's like the result of this alignment, you know. So really beautiful. Then we have, for overall energies, we have the Justice card. So this could be a Libra energy. It also can be, you know, justice for some sort of karmic situation. Then we have the Eight of Pentacles, and we have the Hierophant. So it's like we're laying this solid, beautiful foundation here, and then the overall energies we have is, you know, working hard towards maybe righting some wrong or bringing something into balance. And then we have the Hierophant, which is like, this can be a card of marriage, family, you know, this is actually like getting, you know, married or some sort of official title around some sort of established structure. So it could be marriage, it could be a church or a dynasty or a family, you know, but that it's interesting because there are a couple of threads that have been intersecting around this eclipse season: Epic Love Saga, Dynasty, and the Divine Feminine. And the storyline that's recurred in all of them is about this epic love that's been blocked by this unjust sort of toxic situation and a wrong needing to be righted, which is kind of around this card. And like, you know, there's been a lot of work put towards righting that, and then in doing that, that was going to lay the foundation for this long-term, like a marriage, like a family structure, you know. So we'll see if that's where this is headed, but some interesting stuff. So I'm going to go to Bianco Nero and see if we can get some more information about what's going on here. Okay, so on the bottom of this deck we have the Knight of Wands, which is like this player energy, which that energy has been recurring a lot in a thread called Players. And it's like there's this, you know, this Don Juan Casanova guy who's been kind of playing the field for a long time, but he's going through some weird transition where he kind of wants to settle down. So that's funny because, you know, in the overall energies we're like, okay, like somebody, you know, it seems to hint that somebody's settling down. So I don't know if it's this Knight of Wands, but I'm going to keep pulling cards and see what comes out. My mom, hold on. Okay, I'm back. My mom, she's getting older, so it's a little all over the place. And the big scandal that's happening right now is that my car keys are missing. She has this way of like, things fall into this abyss, you know. So, yeah, right now it's my car keys. So hopefully they'll turn up. But, yeah, this is part of the magic of parents getting older, you know. I try to look at it as magic because you have to have a sense of humor sometimes. Okay, so some crazy stuff is coming out here. So I got the Empress. So this is like a divine feminine, like archetype, which is interesting because I had a really powerful reading about the Divine Feminine a few days ago leading up to this, which I'll link. I would definitely check that out. It was pretty crazy. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. And then right on the other side of that, we have the Emperor. So that's her counterpart. So some big shift is happening between these kind of meant to be counterparts. And it's interesting because I think this was a big energy in that Divine Feminine reading. I think in one of the readings this week. Whatever it is, I'll link it. But then this is so crazy. So then we got the Knight of Wands again. So this is that Don Juan player guy. He's back, falling right under that Empress. We have the Four of Wands, which is another card of marriage, family, like a family foundation. And we have the Strength. So this is really crazy because this is really speaking to, I was talking about all these threads that are sort of intersecting around this storyline of this wrong needing to be righted so that someone could offer their love to this divine counterpart. And so yeah, right under this Justice card, we have the Empress, and we have this Knight of Wands, which is interesting because there's this player that's been wanting to settle down, and it's almost like, there was a video, like, I'll try to find it, like several months ago, where this guy was like offering his love to some divine counterpart, and you know, he was the one that was ascending to become an emperor, you know, like he was going to settle down, you know. And so what's crazy is, so then we have this Eight of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, or the Eight of Pentacles, I'm sorry, and the Four of Wands. So this marriage card, this total shake up, like crazy, and like working hard towards making this happen, this total shake up, or, you know, that's going to end up here. And then we have the Hierophant, which is a card of, you know, marriage, right over this Emperor, which was like, there was a video like a while ago, and I'm going to have to find it, where this guy finally rights some wrong. So he's falling right under the Justice card and right under this Empress. It's almost like this was prophesized months ago. My mom, hold on. So he rights some wrong, and in doing so, he's able to offer his love to his divine counterpart, this Empress. And then we have the marriage card. So in doing that, he ascends into the Emperor, you know, her counterpart. And then we have marriage over him and strength. So it's going to take strength. Like, he's going to have to overcome like some massive amount of resistance in order to do this. But the end result is going to be this big shakeup and this marriage. So it's weird that this is falling right over the eclipse, because it's just like, there have been, like I said, like all these threads that have been kind of pointing to this story for a while. And it's almost like it's coming to a head now. Like, it might actually, it's like the energies have been out there for a while, but it's just like, oh my gosh, is this actually gonna happen now? Like, you know, is this one of the big things that's gonna come to a head over the eclipse? I don't know. I'm going to pull some more cards from Radiant Wise to see if we can get some guidance about what we're going to need to move through this energy. So what I can say for sure is that there is some sort of breakdown, and this like all the readings this week have been speaking to this, like these big changes in relationships that are, you know, these big shifts that are happening around that, that are just kind of shaking up like all kinds of like structures, you know. Weird. Okay, so at the bottom here I get the King of Swords. So this is just like someone who's delivering like a harsh truth, which this has been coming through a bunch too. And I think this character did show up in a reading a week ago or so that I'll link, about, you know, having to deliver some harsh truth. And then we have the Queen of Wands, which, you know, this is someone who's like in her powers, a passionate, fiery queen, but in her power, being able to like, you know, manifest her emotional energy into the three-dimensional world. So she's falling over this Empress. Okay, sorry, my mom just wandered through here looking for my missing car keys. It's like, I have this joke, you know, because there's this running list of things that have disappeared into the abyss of my mother's mind. Okay, so this queen can also, she can signify the other woman. So there was a really interesting reading around her, which I'll try to find and link to. But so there's this other woman. So there's, you know, this player energy, this other woman, this wrong being righted, and this Empress energy. So I really feel like this speaks to this reading that happened where both of these energies were coming through. But it's almost like this other woman, when with this wrong being righted, is going to be elevated to this Empress status, which is interesting. Then we have the Queen of Cups. So it's loving, nurturing, Queen of Cups energy. And then it could be a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. But there's some work being done and some huge upheaval involving her that's going to end up here. So that's really interesting. And then we have this Emperor who's kind of gone into himself. And this Hermit energy is getting spiritual. And then there's this Hierophant. So the other thing that's coming through with this reading, which is really crazy, is that things seem really scattered and unsettled right now. Like there's this big, like no one knows which way is up. Like there's these big energies coming through, but it's just like, what the hell's going on? Like it's like such a huge shakedown that it's like, like the moment is very confusing, you know, to be in. So I'm going to go, since it is a lunar eclipse, I'm going to go to the Moonology deck and see what energy comes through here, because it seems like we're in the middle of something big. But, you know, I think when a person, like, comes into this alignment, you know, sometimes there can be things that are, like, blocking that. It's funny because my mom keeps coming in here, which I think really speaks to this whole reading where there's some big, wild shakedown that's happening, and like no one knows which way is up. But it's just like, I think, you know, the Hermit's here, and so it's like in these moments where things are coming into alignment, you know, and things maybe have been out of alignment or out of whack for a while, and ultimately they're gonna, you know, if you can focus on yourself and just work on your own internal energy, you know, to sort of foster this. Things are going to settle out where they're supposed to. And I think we had a reading a few days ago where that was like, you know, the guidance, where it's just like, you know, things are kind of, but like, don't get lost in that, because it's just like, you got to focus on your own energy and having this be in alignment, and the rest is going to work itself out. But what I can say is what it looks like is whatever it is, it's like a really big realignment. So this is some really important advice to like weather the storm of whatever this is that's happening. So I'm going to pull from the Moonology and see if I can get a little bit of wisdom. I'm going to get, a couple of oracle cards here at the end. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right, so I got new moon in Cancer, which is interesting because we're actually having a full moon in Cancer, but it says you and your loved ones are safe. So yeah, however wackadoodle this shakedown seems, like, it's gonna be okay, you know, because this is where it's ultimately gonna settle out, which is a good thing. And then we have new moon. A new start is coming. So it's funny because I got 2 new moon cards and it's actually a full moon eclipse. But I mean, I guess that's part of the thing because it's a full moon eclipse, so it's kind of both, you know. But this is a penumbral eclipse, so it's not a total eclipse, but it's interesting. So it's almost like we have this fresh start and we have this eclipse, you know, that's happening, which is kind of mimicking this. So it's kind of both. It's like sort of like the intensity and climax of a full moon with the fresh start that's happening, you know. Okay, so I'm pulling from the Sacred Traveler Oracle, and the card at the bottom of this deck is Transformation. A fresh new way of living emerges. So, you know, that makes a lot of sense. Like, we're having a massive shakedown here. Yogic Path, and I'm going to pull one final card from the Yogic Path just to kind of leave on that note. This is a new deck that I just got for Christmas, so I'll probably just read from the book, but yeah, they're beautiful cards with really positive messages. I really like this deck so far. All right, so I got Sattva. Okay, so I'm going to read you the message because I am just learning this deck and it's kind of new. All right. So the message is Sattva, purity and clarity. You have let go of things that were holding you back and are reaching deeper levels of clarity. Maybe you've cleaned up your diet, home, self-care products, relationships, thought patterns, career goals, or life outlook and are now experiencing the joys that come with purity, Sattva. The space you've created is allowing greater gifts that are more aligned with your truth to present themselves. Continue on this path toward clarity by shedding all that is no longer serving you. When your body becomes pure, your thoughts and life will reflect that. Bring Sattva purity into all that you do, and your path will continue to be more clear. So, wow. That's really in alignment with this message, you know. Beautiful. So, yeah, whatever it is that's shaken out, it's a good thing because it's just going to bring you more into alignment. So, you know, try to focus on that big picture while you move through all these shifts, because it can be unsettling, but ultimately it's a good thing. And I wish you luck with that, and I'll check back soon.